Welcome to the Hollywood Raw podcast. I'm Dax Holt. Adam Glenn is out today, so I'm rolling solo right now. But it was a pretty interesting week. I feel like there's a lot of really good stories that are out there, so I'm excited to jump in with this. Jump in and talk to him about. Wow, I can't talk today. I need Adam. Clearly, I can't actually communicate by myself. There's a lot to go over from this week, but anyway. Hope everyone is doing well. We're going to jump into the Raw Rundown. Obviously, we talk about the biggest stories in entertainment news, get you caught up before going into the weekend. So you know what happened this week. Lots and lots of stuff. I know you guys are probably sick of hearing about Blake Lively, but there's some new interesting details that have emerged this week. There's some crazy Kanye shit. There is a lot. So we will jump into those. Let me hit up a review real fast before we do that. However, all right, this one is from Jules on the Pod. It is 5 stars. It's crazy to see people reviewing your podcast based on your guests who voted for. Oh, I think we've read this one. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete this one. So hold on. We've read that one, Jules. Thank you for your review, but I've already read it. All right, this one comes from Boost Your Reviews. It says 5 stars. It says, I agree with the person below. It's crazy people reviewing your podcast because of who you voted for. Keep doing what you're doing. I enjoy listening to your podcast. All right. I love it. That's funny. That was actually a review that was agreeing with Jules, who I just skipped past. But thank you guys. Appreciate it. And yes, it is kind of funny how people will latch on to one thing and then write a review, even though they may like your podcast. You say one bad thing and suddenly they run to the reviews because they know it hurts when you get a crappy review. So thank you guys for taking the time out of your day to leave us a positive review. 5 stars. It means a lot to us. It helps us with the algorithm. I know we say that a lot and it doesn't make a lot of sense to people, but really when reviews go in and Apple sees that we're getting reviews and seeing that there's traction, they then push out the podcast to people that have never listened to it, or puts it in front of people that listen to similar podcasts to go, oh, you might also like that one. So that is why we harp on podcasts. That's why we talk about them all the time, because they are beneficial to discovery of our podcast to other people. So anyway, there's a little background story. All right, let's jump into this. Number 10. All right, so Tom Hanks posted this cryptic photo. Got a lot of people talking online. It was a picture of his hand inside of a studio, and so everyone's like, what is this cryptic post? What are you talking about? He basically said, first day of work. And so everyone's like, first day of work? What are you doing? Well, if you dive into it, it's clearly that he is now back on set recording Toy Story 5. You know, he does all the voiceover work as Woody. And so by him holding up the hand with the number 5 here, actually, I've got a picture of it. I'll put it up for you guys. But that is the image. It's him, his hand, and 5 fingers. And so him being back on the set of Toy Story 5. A lot of people are excited about this. The franchise has been a very, very successful franchise. It's done enormously well over the years. And so another one, can't see it being a bad thing. I don't feel like they've messed up any of these movies where they've, messed up other franchises by doing too many. This one seems to still have legs after all of these years. So back in studio, obviously Tim Allen would most likely be working with him as well. The two of them being Buzz Lightyear and Woody all these years later. It's been great. And I'm guessing it's been really great for their bank accounts as well. When you can only wish for that mailbox money that comes in. But I got to tell you, voiceover work is probably the most lucrative in the industry. You don't have to show up and like look good. You don't have to, I would say do as much work. Yes, there's a lot of work involved, but it's better work. You can do this in your pajamas. You can be wearing a hat. And a lot of people that have done like The Simpsons over the years or Family Guy, they just talk about how it is the best gig ever, that you go to work, you voice over some stuff, and other people do all the graphics behind the scenes, and you make a ton of money off it. So anyway, congrats, Tom Hanks, on being rich and successful. All right, number 9, Michael Lohan. More drama in Michael Lohan's life. Lindsay Lohan's dad has now been sentenced to 9 months in jail after violating a probation after his assault arrest. This is a pretty big deal. He received the sentencing in Florida, and this happened on Wednesday. He was arrested in Texas. I know it sounds weird, but he was arrested in Texas for allegedly assault of his estranged wife, Kate Major, earlier in the year, and his arrest triggered a probation violation for a 2022 Florida incident. And so he had to then go to court in Florida. And he previously pleaded guilty on 5 counts of patient brokering after referring people to a rehab facility. He was then sentenced to 4 years of probation at the time. Well, on Wednesday, he pled guilty to violating his parole. And this is the assault case with Major that is still pending. And because of all of that, they then sentenced him to 9 months in jail. So he could look at actually going and having to spend those 9 months behind bars. We will see if that actually happens. She was also then, Kate Major was granted a protective order against Michael Lohan on Monday, and that was February 25th. The emergency protective order prohibited him from going within 200 feet of her workplace, and he is also forbidden from communicating her or in a threatening manner. So that was kind of the original story that had broke after he showed up and allegedly assaulted her. But him violating this probation is really kind of the big deal here, and yeah, we'll see. Can you just think about how much drama? Like, Lindsay Lohan already has enough drama that she's gone through in her life, but then to have your dad and your family cause a lot more drama and constantly be in the news, and your name gets sucked into the news every single time, because you don't just do a story about Michael Lohan and not reference Lindsay. So every time he gets arrested, every time there's an incident, it's Lindsay Lohan's dad was arrested for this. And it's probably at a point you're just like, Dad, stop doing stuff because you tarnish my name. And Lindsay has been doing really good as of late. You know, she's her career's back on track. She's doing these Netflix movies. She's looking good. She's a mom. She's like got her life going really well right now. And then you just have her dad who comes in and bulldozes and brings the bad headlines and the bad publicity. It's got to be pretty annoying. And it's been like that for so many years that I'm not surprised that she's distanced herself for a while. And I thought that they were actually back on track with her and her dad, but I got to imagine this doesn't help. So, all right, number 7, Post Malone wrapped up in a bit of a custody battle going on right now with his ex. This is his ex-fiancée, but basically what's going on is there is a custody dispute. Her name is Hee Sung Park, I believe is how you say it. She also goes by Jamie, but this is over their 2.5-year-old daughter, who is referred to as DDP. So we don't actually know the daughter's name. They haven't released that. But on April 18th, this was 2 days before his Coachella performance, she served him with custody papers inside a Los Angeles parking garage. A lot of people were kind of surprised to hear that. But in this filing that was submitted in the Los Angeles Superior Court, it seeks primary physical custody of their daughter, joint legal custody, and visitation rights for Post. She also requests that Post cover all of her legal fees. The documents reveal that their daughter has been living with her since November 2024, following the couple's split at the end of the year. If you remember, Post and Jamie, their relationship began back in 2021. I guess he had proposed to her in Vegas. It was initially like this drunk proposal, which she initially declined because she was like, listen, you are wasted right now. Tomorrow, when you're sober, ask me again. And to which he did. She said yes. So they got engaged, but then later broke it off. They did welcome a daughter in May of 2022. He announced her birth during an appearance on the Howard Stern show, but then they later ended up breaking up. And now he is been out publicly seen with Christy Lee, who is a fashion student. But the reason that it's kind of interesting is he had initially filed a paternity action in Utah days before she released her petition in California. And a lot of people are saying, oh, he probably did that to get ahead of it, because in Utah, they're a little more favorable to, I would say, fathers, and maybe not paying for as much. And California can be brutal to fathers when it comes to custody and child support payments. It is a pretty known thing. So neither one of them has really publicly commented as of this moment, but he is going through that as we speak. So obviously everyone loves Posty, and so that's why that news story has obviously hit the headlines and gained a lot of attraction, because anything that he does, people want to know about. All right, let's jump into number 7. Number 7 is Tina Knowles opening up about Beyonce choosing Jay-Z over another guy early back in the days when she first started like chatting with Jay-Z. I guess there was another guy who was also in the mix at that time, and she came to her mom and she said, I don't know who to pick. Like, I don't know, like I've got my movie premiere coming up. Both the guys want to come. What am I supposed to do? So Tina Knowles is opening up about this. She's got her new memoir called Patriarch. It dropped on April 22nd. And so for her to even be talking about Beyonce, to be talking about Jay-Z is kind of interesting because they're notoriously private. So to even see their names pop up, I mean, listen, we know that the only reason people are buying the book is because of the Beyonce connection. People want to know what's happening in their lives. And so I think she knows, like, I got to give them something. I got to give the reader something, but can't give too much, or else, you know, it's not going to go well. But I'm sure Beyonce has read every page, knows what's coming out. There's going to be no surprises here. But she basically said, look, once Beyonce had come to her and said, look, I got 2 guys, one of them being Jay-Z. She didn't say the name of the other guy that was in the music industry that she was interested in chatting with, but her and Jay-Z have, like for years, it's documented that they spent months and months and months talking on the phone, communicating before really starting up this relationship. They started as friends first, then it turned into a relationship. But when Beyonce came to her mom said, look, who are you leaning towards? Who do you enjoy talking to more? And that's when she decided, I enjoy talking to Jay-Z more. And that's when it turned from just a friendly conversation to a relationship. And look, never looked back after that. They now have 3 kids together, one of the most talked about famous relationships on the planet. And so I guess in her book, she doesn't go too much more into the relationship stuff with Beyonce and Jay-Z because doesn't want to cross any boundaries there. But there is one of the things she did talk about with Beyonce was, do you remember there was a bunch of rumors that were flying around years and years ago that Beyonce faked Blue Ivy's pregnancy? That was a huge story. And I think it was that she basically had a surrogate that carried the baby so that she wouldn't. But there was a famous moment when she was on a talk show, and I could not even remember the talk show at this point, where she went to sit down and her dress like folded in a way that people thought she had a fake belly. And because they're like, there's no way that the dress could fold like that if she had a true belly, it had to have like gone in on itself. And those rumors plagued her for a very long time. And Tina had just opened up in the book and said, look, this was really hard to keep my mouth closed because Beyonce had even said, like, I don't want to add any fuel to the fire, so I need you to just not talk about it. And Tina said, it's hard to have your daughter go through this pregnancy and such a wonderful time in her life. And during that time, all these rumors, all these stories talking about how it's not true. And she goes, sometimes when you're in these situations, when your daughter's famous, your son-in-law is famous, and you can't talk, it's very hard having this like zipper on your mouth. It's an invisible zipper is what she called it, that you can't talk and everyone around you wants to come to your defense and they can't. And so anyway, she talks a little bit about that, just how the struggle of being a mom of a celebrity who is so famous that everything they do gets talked about. Anyway, that's all. All right, number 6. A lot of people asking, who is the new Golden Bachelor? None of those people would be me because I don't really care, but his name is Mel Owens, and he is the next Golden Bachelor. He is from Michigan. He is a former NFL player turned lawyer who is now stepping into the spotlight. I guess they didn't even really let him know until like 24 hours before they released it, until ABC announced it. So when he first started talking about it, he's like, it's been a crazy 24 hours. I was just notified that I'm the new Bachelor. And next thing you know, I'm doing all these interviews and talking to people. But he's like I said, he's from Detroit. He went on to play in the NFL. He was drafted with I don't know if he was drafted by the Los Angeles Rams, played as a linebacker until 1989. And then he was previously married. He does have an ex-wife. He has 2 sons, and he is now looking for someone full of life. So if you're into the Golden Bachelor, I know the first one did pretty well. People like to see the change of pace on the Bachelor show. There's actually can be a lot more drama with in the golden version of of, because there's a little more, the stakes are a little higher. People feel like they really need to find love now, or they may not find love ever. So I think it causes a little more drama, anxiety, and all of that. So anyway, if you went to The Bachelor and the Golden Bachelor, you can watch out for Mel Owens on this upcoming season. So there you go. All right, number 5, the Oscars are being slammed right now for basically their voting system is a complete fraud. They have now released, the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences has now announced a new rule being implemented for the 98th Academy Awards, which is scheduled in March 2026. They are saying, get this, there's now going to be a new system in which people vote, and these are the people of the Academy, in which you have to prove that you've basically watched all the movies before voting for one. And so everyone's like, wait a second, are you trying to tell us that all of the voting has been basically a fraud to this point, that people aren't actually watching all the movies to determine which one is the best movie for the award? That's kind of a problem, because then you could just watch one movie, be like, well, I enjoyed the movie, so I'm going to vote for that one. That's not fair for everyone in the category. If you are a part of the Academy, it seems only fair that if you're going to vote in one category, you need to watch all movies in the category to actually have a fair decision. And so a lot of people saw this and thought, how was this not already in place? I don't know how the Academy is going to monitor that you've actually watched every single movie. I don't know if it's going to be a check-in. I don't know if you have to actually watch them on a platform that they are providing. I mean, that kind of seems like the smartest thing. You have to log in, you have to watch the movie on their platform or stream it from their platform, and then you can actually get unlocked to a version of voting. I don't know how it's going to happen, but that seems like the right call for me. That makes me also not want to be a part of the Academy, because God, having to spend that reminds me of like a school assignment. Now you're being forced to watch every movie. But if you have the responsibility of an Academy member, then you should have to watch them. So that was pretty shocking this week that has become an issue. I think also one of the other big topics was the use of AI in either script writing or in the production of the movie. That is now being lifted. There were some rules that were putting in place where you can't have AI as part of your production. They are now saying, no, that shouldn't disqualify you from an Oscar-winning movie, because you are getting help during script writing, production, graphics, whatever it is. And I think that's only fair. I mean, you got to use the tools that are being given to us this day and age, so it shouldn't hold you off from winning. So anyway, the next Academy Awards, like I said, are scheduled for March 15th, 2026. Conan will be back hosting once again, because he did a great job this past Oscars. So, all right, moving on. Number 4, Kanye West acknowledging or admitting that he had a sexual relationship with his cousin, in which he went down on him. This is all in relationship to a new song that he is debuting called Cousins. He posted on X this week. He said, "This song is called Cousins. It's about my cousin that's locked in jail for life for killing a pregnant woman a few years after I told him we wouldn't look at dirty magazines together anymore. He went on to then say, perhaps in my self-centered mess, I felt it was my fault that I showed him those dirty magazines when he was 6, and then we acted out what we saw. He said, my dad had a Playboy magazine, but the magazines I found on top of my mom's closet were different. My name is Yi, and I sucked my cousin's dick till I was 14. And then he says, tweet sent. So everyone's like, what? What, Kanye? Did not see this tweet coming out today or this week, but basically alluding to the fact that his mother, Donda, had some magazines of the homosexuality variety. I don't know how else to describe those, but basically that it led him and his cousin to have some kind of relationship together, and to which he then says, because of that, it led us down two very dark paths because of this inappropriate relationship that we had as kids. He's actually talked about this cousin before. I remember he did on Jimmy Kimmel, basically saying that, listen, his cousin's in jail, but I still love him. There was also a moment during one of the Kim Kardashian, the Justice Project clips, where she's also talking about him and being in jail. So it's not like this is a surprise who this guy is, but I wonder if Kim knew about this relationship, this sexual experience that he had with his cousin when he was younger. I don't know if she was involved. He spent a long time tweeting this week about not seeing his kids again and not seeing Saint like all this year. And so he definitely has a very strained relationship with his children right now. And I gotta say, I can't imagine Kim thinking this is the best information to come out, but maybe it's also cathartic for him. Maybe he needed to get this off his chest. Maybe this is something that, if you go through an experience like that when you're younger and it's haunted you, or you feel guilt about a relationship, maybe he needed to get off his chest. Maybe he needed to talk to someone about it. Listen, Kanye West says some crazy stuff, but who am I to say that he should hold that in for the rest of time? It's just a long list of Kanye being Kanye, saying stuff. I can't tell if this is just done to promote his song and to get downloads, or if this is something that by talking about it, it's freeing him from this mental cage that he's been in for a long time. But obviously, it got a lot of action this week, a lot of people talking about it because it's wild. Not a lot of people out there admitting they're having given their cousin head, All right. Next, let's get into number 3, which is some more Blake and Justin craziness. But here's the deal. Taylor Swift and Hugh Jackman will likely be subpoenaed. That is the story this week in association to the Blake and Justin lawsuit that is ongoing. There is now a report saying that they will most likely be subpoenaed in this ongoing battle between the two of them, and they will most likely be served this week, is what it is being said. We know that the Justin and Blake ongoing legal battle, everyone is coming forward, all their PR, the representatives, everyone else is obviously involved. So why not Hugh Jackman and Taylor Swift, them being the two closest friends of Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively? And I mean, Taylor Swift's name has already been dragged into this. She was mentioned that she was there one of the nights that Justin showed up to Blake's apartment in New York, and the script got rewritten, that Taylor was a part of that rewriting, and that she kind of had said, oh yeah, the song and the rewrite and all of these things that Blake wants to do, I think you should do it because it's better with Blake's version. So not surprised Taylor's being wrapped into this. Again, more evidence to me that this will never actually make it to trial. I don't think Hugh wants to sit on, up there and be deposed. I don't think Taylor wants to be deposed. I don't think any of them want it to get to that level, because that is a huge spectacle once you're in court, and every aspect of this will be dissected. Taylor doesn't want that. Taylor is probably going to be like, Blake, I will pay for you to not have to take this to trial. Settle this, please, for the love of God, settle this so that I don't have to be a part of it. But that was not the only thing that came out this week. So not only will they most likely be subpoenaed, but there is some more sinister stuff that people are talking about. They're saying that initially Blake Lively had filed a lawsuit against Justin back in 2024 under a shell company named Van Zandt, which is a company that her and Ryan Reynolds own together. She filed this without naming any defendants, and this allowed them to issue a subpoena to Justin Baldoni's former publicist, Stephanie Jones, to obtain private communication. These communications allegedly revealed a coordinated effort to damage Lively's reputation, including that famous message that was about destroying her. So that lawsuit, it was filed, they got the information, and then it was quietly dropped just before Lively then refiled a public complaint about him, and now their names were involved in this. So a lot of people saying that this was an abuse of process, using the name of a shell company, filing it without their names being attached to it. They don't like that. The fact that the defendant wasn't named, so there was no really protection that they could put in place for Baldoni. And then the timing of it. So basically, the lawsuit was dropped before the public complaint, which suggests that it was used to gather information rather than seek legal redress. While her attorney has defended the approach, saying it's totally legitimate, it's all good. The method they feel Baldoni's team feels that it was circumventing the fair legal process. So it basically is saying they manipulated the legal process to gain an advantage rather than the act of filing the lawsuit itself. So another tactic people are saying that she did was not the right way to do it. It doesn't make her look good, and it's even more criticism towards Blake Lively. Good God, let us be done having to talk about Blake Lively. All right, let's move on. Let's move on to some happy news here. I absolutely love seeing this news story. I hope you guys too. But Teddi Mellencamp, some good news with her. She posted an Instagram this week talking about the fact that, her tumors have shrunk and that she is on the road to recovery. This is huge news. She basically said that, after 2 sessions of immunotherapy, she hopes that her treatment will be wrapped up soon and that she'll be completely cancer-free. Her doctors believe she might be there actually very, very soon. So this is some good news. We have talked about her cancer journey over the last few months. It's been sad. It's been scary. She announced the issue back in February that she was dealt with some just debilitating headaches before going into appointment. She found out she had a number of tumors on her brain. She then underwent surgery to remove some, started radiation to get rid of the rest, and then doctors found even more tumors on her brain earlier this month. She had even admitted that her dad was already planning her burial. That's how bad it was. So to hear this news, to see her talking about it, if you haven't watched the video, go watch it on her Instagram. She just has this light, this radiation about her where she is just happy. You see that she has been going through so much crap in her life. To finally get some good news it is massive. And I got to tell you, once, and I said this to you guys, I think 2 weeks ago, when she had said, look, a lot of this started off, she's had the cancer battle, she's had melanoma, she had these crazy, this massive surgery across her back because they just kept popping up. And it freaked me out because I'm also, I had melanoma on my shoulder. I had surgery right around the same time she did. So when she started talking about the headaches and now this turning into a much more serious thing, it freaked me out because then I was like, oh God, I need to go. I did get my blood work, so I'm letting you guys know. Her story about everything kind of getting really scary encouraged me to go get my blood work done, make sure that I am healthy and that I don't have anything else going on post melanoma. So thank you, Teddi, and I'm really, really happy for your good news this week. So, all right, moving on to the number one story of the week. Justin Bieber, there has been so much talk about him between the video of him at Coachella looking completely out of it while he was shirtless. A lot of questions on who is surrounding Justin Bieber at this time, who are the people in his life, and now the destruction of the Drew House brand. He has now been posting about the fact that he is no longer with Drew House after making it a very, very popular brand. He is now saying that he believes this fashion brand no longer represents him. And there has been a lot of talk back and forth with what really went down inside of this company. There is quite a few people on the board of directors here that you might know. Number one, obviously Justin. Number two, Scooter Braun, who was his longtime manager. Number three is a co-founder of Ryan Good, which is one of Justin's really, really good friends, who was actually the best man in Justin's wedding. And also Pastor Judah Smith and David Bolano, who are all on the board. Judah has got a lot of criticism recently, a lot of people accusing him of having, he's a pastor, but people are saying his church seems very cult-like. Again, I don't know. I don't go to his church, but I guess he is kind of at the center of a lot of this kind of falling apart. I think Ryan has accused Judah of having cult-like tactics and pulling Justin in and away from his friendship and saying that it's not good. And so Justin and Judah, I think, have been kind of maintaining this like relationship together. And a lot of the other people are on the outside going, it's not good anymore. And so that's why Justin then felt like a lot of his decisions that he was making was getting overruled during board member meetings, and everyone else is saying, no, they weren't being overran. And anyway, I think he felt like the creative view was no longer his vision. It was other people's vision. So he has now started a new company called Skylark. He has now been posting about that. He has told his followers, if you like me, then please no longer buy Drew House. It doesn't represent me. It doesn't represent who I am, my family, my friends. Please stop buying that merch, and you can start buying Skylark merch. It's interesting with the Skylark merch. It reminds me very much of like Kanye stuff, like the Yeezys, the bag, the sunglasses is kind of interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if eventually Kanye comes out and says, "Cool, Justin, you're just copying all of my old designs," because it looks very much like something Kanye would have out there. Anyway, so. People are just kind of questioning what's going on in Justin's life right now. Who are the friends you're hanging out with? What's going on with this pastor that's being accused of cult-like behavior? Who are your friends? Who's watching over you? So a lot of drama continues in Justin's life. So we'll see how this all unfolds. But anyway, that's what I got for you. This has been the Hollywood Raw Rundown. Send a note to Adam. Let him know he was missed this week. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys always for tuning in. I appreciate it. And make sure you leave us a review if you've got the time. Head on over to Apple Podcast. Find our show. Scroll down to the bottom. Leave us a review. Appreciate it. You can follow us on social media. You can follow Adam at Adam Glenn. You can follow me at Dax Holt. You can follow Hollywood Raw. Just head on over to hollywoodraw.com. Got all the links to anything you might possibly want, including our private Facebook group called Off the Record. If you want to come be a member, chat with us. Love reading your guys' comments in there, your feedback. You guys post new stories, breaking stuff. So I'm even learning a lot of the news in our private Facebook group. So I love it. Anyway, thank you guys. Have a wonderful weekend. Talk to you later. Bye.
What's up, guys? If you like that video, there's plenty more that came from.
Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell so we can just feed you all the goodness daily.
Hurry up. Come on, let's go.